The first time I realized I was in love with my best friend, I almost laughed myself to death. It wasn't the kind of laugh that comes from joy, it was the hysterical kind you let out when you know you're doomed. When the universe plays a sick joke on you and expects you to sit quietly in the wreckage. I mean, real lime? An Omega hopelessly in love with my alpha best friend? It sounded like the plot of some cheap romance novel sold in the back of a bookstore. One I'd secretly read under the covers when no one was watching. But this was real. Too real. And it was tearing me apart. We grew up together in a small neighborhood on the outskirts of Boston. I was the boy who hid behind my mother's skirts, always shy, always too soft, while he was the one who ran ahead, fists raised, daring the world to challenge him. Jason Hayes, me best friend, my alpha, my curse. Jason wasn't just any alpha. He was the kind of guy who drew attention without even trying, the one who carried the weight of expectations like it was part of his DNA. Football star in high school, honor roll student, effortlessly charming in that infuriating, all-American way. And me? I was Liam Rivers, the quiet Omega who blended into the background, always standing just a little too close to him, hoping no one noticed the way I watched him when he wasn't looking. And he never looked back at me that way. Not once. People think Omegas are weak. Some days I believed it too, especially when the bond between uscellent, unspoken, and one-sided wrapped tighter around my chest until I could barely breathe. Jason knew I was an Omega, of course. Everyone did. But he never treated me like I was fragile. He treated me like me, his best friend, his brother in arms, his safe place. And that should have been enough. But it wasn't. It was never enough when every time he smiled at me, my heart sprinted like it was running a marathon. When his hand brushed mine by accident, I felt the phantom burn for hours. When he hugged me, I wanted to bury myself in his scent, memorize the way his alpha warmth seeped into my skin. But Jason Hayes didn't do love like that. At least not with me. We were 21 when it all came crashing down. The night started like any other cheap beers, greasy pizza, and a rented movie neither of us paid attention to. Jason was sprawled across my couch, his long legs taking up all the space, while I sat too close, pretending not to notice how his shirt rode up just enough to expose the firm lines of his stomach. You ever think about, I don't know, the future? I asked, trying to sound casual. My voice cracked anyway. Jason snorted. What, like 10 years from now? Yeah, 10 years from now. Where do you see yourself? He took a sip of his beer, eyes fixed on the TV. Married, maybe, couple of kids, coaching football, something boring but stable. The words punched the air out of my lungs. Married, kids, to someone who wasn't me, someone who wasn't even male, probably. You? He asked. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. What could I say? I see myself at your side, if only you'd let me. I see myself loving you until the day I die. Instead, I muttered, haven't really thought about it, but I thought about it every damn day. The truth slipped out 2 weeks later. It was an accident, or maybe it was fate. We were walking home from a late-night diner, the city lights casting halos on the wet pavement. Jason shoved his hands into his jacket pockets, humming some tune off key, and a stupid, reckless me blurted it out. I'm in love with you. He froze mid-step. The night fell silent, the hum of passing cars muted against the roar in my ears. What did you just say? His voice was careful, too careful. I swallowed hard, throat dry. I said, I'm in love with you, Jason. For a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd laugh and pull me into his arms. Tell me he felt the same way but didn't know how to say it. But Jason Hayes didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He looked at me like I'd just shattered the world we'd built together. Liam, he said, slow and heavy, you're my best friend, my brother. Don't ruin this with feelings like that. I should have expected it. I should have prepared for rejection. But hearing it aloud, seeing the hard set of his jaw, the way he pulled away as if I'd burned him, it broke me in ways I didn't know I could break. I forced a laugh, though it came out cracked. Yeah, right. Just kidding, man. Forget I said anything. But we both knew it wasn't a joke. The silence between us stretched thin, fragile, ready to snap. He walked me home, but his hands stayed buried deep in his pockets, and mine trembled at my sides, aching for a touch that would never come. That night, I cried into my pillow, silent sobs that tasted like salt and regret. I hated myself for confessing. I hated him for rejecting me. I hated the universe for making me an omega who loved an alpha that would never love him back. But fate is cruel, and sometimes it's cruel in ways you don't expect. 2 weeks later, my heat hit harder than ever before, and Jason was there. Jason's scent filled the room like wildfire, and I hated myself for needing it. My body betrayed me, every nerve screaming for the alpha standing at the edge of my bed, fists clenched, jaw tight. "Liam," his voice cracked, heavy with restraint. "You should have told me it was coming." As if that would have changed anything, I hissed, curling into myself. Heat was cruel. It stripped me of dignity, left me trembling, vulnerable, begging for the one person I couldn't have. Jason stepped closer, his shadow swallowing me whole. "You think I'd let you go through this alone?" The fight left my lungs in a shuddering breath. My eyes burned as I whispered, "You already did." The silence stretched. He could have walked away, should have, but he didn't. He knelt by the bed, his hand brushing mine, hesitant, careful, devastating. I broke first. I always did. That night blurred into fragments, heat and desperation. His lips against my skin, his voice rough with words I wasn't sure I was meant to hear. "You're mine, Liam. Always were." When the fever broke, I woke in his arms, my head resting on his chest, our legs tangled in sheets damp with sweat. For a moment, I let myself pretend we were more than a mistake carved by biology. But Jason shattered it before the sun rose. "This can't happen again," he said, his back to me, his voice a knife. I wanted to scream, to claw at his skin until he admitted what I saw in his eyes last night: desire, longing, love. But I stayed silent, because what right did an omega have to demand more from an alpha who didn't want him? Weeks passed. We moved around each other like strangers wearing the faces of best friends. He avoided my gaze and I avoided the truth. But secrets fester, and mine grew heavier with each passing day. Because heat left more than scars. It left life. 2 pink lines stared back at me from the bathroom sink, and my world collapsed. I sat on the bathroom floor, knees drawn to my chest, the test shaking in my hands. Pregnant. An omega carrying his alpha best friend's child. I should have felt joy. Instead, I felt terror. How could I tell Jason, the man who rejected my love, that he had unknowingly bound himself to me forever? I didn't have to. He found me first. Jason burst into my apartment one evening, his face pale, eyes blazing with something close to fear. "Liam, what the hell is going on?" My throat closed. "Nothing. I'm fine. Don't lie to me." His voice cracked, raw. "I can smell it." His words faltered. He dragged a hand through his hair, staring at me like he didn't know me at all. "You're carrying my child." The room spun. My secret ripped open in seconds. Tears pricked my eyes. "And what? You'll tell me to get rid of it? Pretend it never happened?" He flinched as if I'd struck him. "God, Liam. No, never." He stepped forward, his hands trembling. "But you should have told me. Why didn't you?" "Because you don't love me." The words ripped from me like a wound tearing open. "Because every time I look at you, I see the life I'll never have. And now I'm trapped with your baby inside me. And I don't know if I should feel grateful or broken." The silence after was deafening. My chest heaved, every breath sharp. Jason stood frozen, his jaw working as if he couldn't form the words sitting on his tongue. Finally, he whispered, "You think I don't love you?" I blinked, stunned. "You said." "I said what I thought I had to protect you, to protect us." I was terrified, Liam. His voice cracked, raw with something I'd never heard before: fear, desperation. Terrified of what it meant to love you the way I do, to want you so much it hurts. My heart stopped. The floor might as well have vanished beneath me. "You love me?" The words were fragile, barely a breath. Jason's hand found mine, rough and trembling. Since the day you tripped over your own feet in 3rd grade and still smiled like an idiot. Since the day you made me believe I was more than the golden boy everyone wanted me to be. I love you, Liam. God help me, I always have. The dam broke. My sobs were ugly, raw, but he caught them all, pulling me into his arms like he was afraid I'd disappear. His lips found mine, not desperate, not frantic this time, but steady, certain, as if he was stitching us back together piece by piece. For the first time, I believed him. The months blurred by. Pregnancy was messy, exhausting, terrifying. But Jason was there for every moment, holding my hair back when I was sick, arguing with doctors about Omega Care, pressing his ear to my stomach just to whisper secrets to the life growing inside me. Sometimes I caught him staring at me when he thought I wasn't looking, his eyes soft, his mouth curved in that small, private smile. The smile that said he still couldn't believe we'd found our way back to each other. And when doubts clawed at me, when fear whispered that he might wake up one day and realize he'd made a mistake, Jason silenced them with his touch, his words, his unwavering presence. "I'm not going anywhere," he said one night, his arms wrapped around me, our baby kicking between us. "You're mine, Liam. You and our child. Forever." For once, I let myself believe forever was real. The day our daughter was born, Jason cried harder than I did. He held her like she was spun from glass, his broad shoulders shaking with every sob. "She's perfect," he whispered, his forehead pressed to mine. "Just like her Omega." I laughed through my tears, exhausted but whole. Because after all the heartbreak, all the pain, all the years of silence and longing, I finally had everything I'd ever wanted. Not a fantasy, not a dream, but a family. Jason's lips brushed mine, gentle and reverent. "Thank you for loving me when I didn't deserve it, for waiting, for giving me this life." And in that moment, I realized something simple, something true. Love wasn't about who confessed first or who ran away. It wasn't about biology or fear or the cruel tricks of fate. It was about staying. And Jason stayed. Always. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.